Merry Yule to everybody. Yes, I just got out of bed because it's Christmas Eve and I could lay on my butt. Been thinking about something for 3 days, though. I saw a post the other day, well written, it was beautiful, right? Went into this great detail about Thor and Jormungandr and how Thor and the earth and the thrashing of Jormungandr was the symbolic of the great flood and all of these wonderful things. Written by H.R. Ellis Davidson, is simply repeated in the post as a clarification of some understanding. I thought that's really neat. So I began to ask myself, all right, now that I know that, what tool is there that I can use to make my life better? And I began to examine much of the other 99% of the other heathen literature on the market today with all these great clarifications and understanding, all of them taken from the same poetic Edda. Telling the stories, telling the tales. And much like some of the other things that I see promoted, the Assyrian Code of Nine, so many of the other ideas that are promoted as worthwhile or part of knowing. And I think Alan Watts says it best. People are funny. If you tell them that it's pretty easy, they won't take it serious. If you give it away for free, they won't value it. Right? But you get somebody over here that's like got a really hard line idea about it. Well, he's serious about it. He must really know what he's doing. He's more serious about it than everybody else. He's really got an understanding. We're going to do it the hard way. We're going to do it this tough way and see if we can really show that we know what we're doing and that we're making progress. And it breaks down along those lines. I mean, you can look at anything in the alpha community. You see your far right and your far left. And both of them have ideas that they're cemented in their brain as worth knowing, understanding, all of these various rabbit holes that suck people down. And then you see a post that lays out this perception of understanding, this great clarification of what the stuff that we've been reading. And still you come up dry. Well, I know that now. I'm not sure if it's right, but I know something now. Here's your litmus test. What makes anybody's perception more right or more wrong than somebody else's? The litmus test of it has almost got to be, what is the value of knowing that? What tool is in the understanding of that allows my children to grab a hold of a faith if something ever happens to me? Because much of what's being passed off as worth knowing isn't going to be worth a fuck whenever somebody dies. When you lose a lover. When you lose a parent. You can know all that shit all you want to. You can go down those rabbit holes to escape or not have to deal with any kind of emotional growth or development, or sit with the pain and understand it and grow through it so you don't repeat that mistake. You can certainly dive off on them rabbit holes and indulge in a good deal of righteous indignation. And if you pay very close attention to it, you'll see that that's what most people are doing. Instead of sitting with the pain, instead of trying to work through all of the issues that have brought us to the crossroads to begin with, there's all too often and all too easy a rabbit hole to dive down. Some justification, some personal argument that you can tell to your friends again and again, and since they are your friends or kind of your friends, they'll say, oh yes, you're absolutely right. You end up with a room full of people blowing sunshine up each other's ass about how right they are, and still not be in possession of the tools necessary to move forward in this world. This is a scary thought. But it also provides an enormous amount of clarification of why this group over here is doing so good. This group over here is struggling to move forward. This group over here is doing so good because they're not asking you to take a stand or make a decision or enact any kind of growth. They're satisfied with knowing somebody else's clarification of what that really means. This group over here, they're satisfied knowing all the rabbit holes and sticking to ideas of honor and integrity. Of course, honor is something that they all want to indulge in. Funny thing about honor is you don't give it to yourself. You don't graduate and say, well, I have honors. You graduate with honors because you earned them from someone else. Someone else says, yeah, he's got that. That's an honorable action. That's an honorable, that some other people determine what that is. You get to act with integrity. Right? Be clear about that. You're sitting around talking about how much honor you have when that's something somebody else gives you. Every time. And every day you got to earn it. But back to the real point of the story. We have all of this supposed knowledge and understanding, but none of the tools that go with it. And this is something I tried to point out when I wrote Eager's Feast. And I've tried to clarify it with the recent book, Beneath the Sacred Tree. Everybody comes from somewhere. Everybody's got some kind of background they got to contend with. For Tyr, it was basically, everybody's, oh, he's just a mean Jotun, a frost giant, the enemy of the gods. Well, he was really kind of a caricature of the regular old factory working, beer swilling, conservative or liberal bitching about every damn thing under the sun because they have a miserable fucking life. Have all kinds of rabbit holes to get upset about and indulge in that righteous indignation instead of getting fired up about something and making a difference and changing or growing or doing something different in their life so they don't find themselves in that same situation again. Who does he take with him? Tyr's got to deal with all that baggage to get the mile-wide cauldron, which is his heritage. He takes the warder of men. He takes Thor alongside with him, right? They deal with everything, put him in his place, get rid of him. They get rid of that memory. They deal with that stuff. Far too often I look through TikTok or Instagram and I see all these videos about always be afraid of the man that's quiet, that's had to heal himself. Those thoughts keep you mired in that fucking sickness, wallowing in the shit of all of the negative mental thought processes that we picked up, earned, learned, or succumbed to. Yes, we've all seen bad shit. I've seen shit some people have only seen in a movie. And so have a lot of other people. Does that give us the right to sit there and wallow in it? Does having a clear understanding of why Jormungandr represents the foundation of another flood myth help me deal with it? Nope. So when I wrote Eager's Feast and I was looking at all that, I thought, okay, there's a great deal of baggage that people carry around. And more often than not, it's only one thought that shows up at the dinner table that fucks up your entire train of thinking and ruins a whole day. Carl Jung was famous for talking about if a man had a favorable dream about a woman the night before, he could determine whether or not the man was going to have a good or a bad day. Wrote a study on it, pretty famous, pretty popular. Those guys that have positive dreams about feminine archetypes in their life usually have a good day. Think about it. If your girlfriend has a bad dream where she thinks you cheated on her or something bad happened or you went away or something, she's going to wake up and you're going to be in trouble. It's just the way it is. Right? So they pay that those thought processes up to and including our dreams play a very powerful role in how we act and evolve in this world as individuals, be it a spiritual path, a physical path, a mental path, whichever aspect of our being we decide to develop, all of it hinges on our thought process. So we fill our heads with a bunch of useless bits of information and never discern what tool is involved in utilizing that information. Between Eager's Feast, where I outline the actual process of thought to eliminate that kind of thinking and grow into something better, to Beneath the Sacred Tree, to Truer Bach, and then Beneath the Sacred Tree and Courage to Love, all of these are showing you this is what this really means. These are the tools. These are the thoughts to be aware of. It all centers around your thought process. Do you have a tool that when that negative thought shows up in your head, you can say, I don't feel like fooling with that today. I feel like feeling good, so I'm not going to mess with it. So now when you look at it in that perspective, from my perspective, and I look at the gathered cumulative knowledge that we all seem to see bandied about online as spiritual excellence or anything else, Where's the tool? Where's the tool that I can use to help me negotiate what's going on here? Can I stick with just, well, we can start with one thing, honesty. Let's say your old lady, your boyfriend, and you have a friend, and he's got a girlfriend, and you know she's cheating on him. You know she's doing this over here, and you don't tell him. Is that the kind of thing that's going to allow you to cultivate the tools necessary to move forward in the world? Probably not. It's never going to shake out right. Let's say you have a couple, they're friends. They love each other very much, and you find out one of them's fooling around on the other one. That's something that's got to be discussed. Look, this is what's really going on. You need to move on. When you withhold that kind of information and don't share it, is that really a friend? So right there, we've created a situation with our own thought process that's stymied our growth. Oh, well, it's okay if you do it to that person, but it's not okay if you do it to the other person. Okay, then. If you can't figure out those kinds of things, how are you going to help anybody else move forward? We have the ability here, but probably not the integrity, to stop going down these various rabbit holes that we keep confusing for spiritual growth. This righteous indignation we confuse for a spiritual experience. We can have all the understanding in the world of how our ancestors worked and operated and functioned, and still not be able to apply it because it's not the same world. Granted, we haven't created any new emotions, and the situation between men and women are different, but their thought process was much different than ours. More of it was committed to survival than it was to comfort. Comfort was the great idea of kings, and even they had to struggle. We're comfortable. We can dive down a rabbit hole, we can watch TV, we can skip through Instagram or TikTok or MeWe or Facebook or whatever, and never have to deal with what's going on. We can, in a moment, bury that. And the problem is, we never get rid of that until we deal with it, until we sit with the pain, go through it, figure out what we've done wrong, and figure out how not to repeat it. And sometimes people are dense. I myself am quite dense. You have to deal with it a number of times before you figure out, okay, what's really going on here? And then I look around at all these heathen books, and I figure out none of these jokers are offering me a tool based on their understanding of what this means, this esoteric idea, which I see people so fond of talking about, the esoteric ideas. Okay, good, you know that esoteric idea. Where's the tool involved in that esoteric idea? See, an esoteric idea should always present to us a tool that we might use to be able to join or justify our seat at the table, the thing that Loki never did. Always doing something different. Oh, well, I'll go off here in the woods with Angerboda, and I'll create a new race of giants. And we got the Fenris wolf, and we got Jormungandr. Be aware, Hel is not his daughter. That's a much later development into things that is not valid. So don't even begin to confuse the two there. So he screwed it up. And how often have we done the same thing? I'm not really sure what's going on here. I'm going to go off over here and do my own thing. Even though I might have some little bit of understanding, I don't have any of the tools that come with that understanding. So my esoteric exercises have been in vain. Been in vain. So now what do you do? Well, you're doing a pretty good thing by stopping right here and paying attention for a little bit. Try looking through it. Try picking up one of my books. Try picking up a book that's not in your realm of thought. Try picking up a book that the other side seems to promote. See what they're talking about. See what kind of tools they're looking for. I assure you, some of them you're not going to agree with. I bought a Brene Brown book. Read through it. Everything we have to deal with in the world, we have to sort the wheat from the chaff. To cast it out at face value without ever perusing what's inside it, we're missing the point. See, because what you have to understand is whether you agree with it or not, it all comes from the same well. Every bit of it. So we have to ask ourselves, when we begin to comprehend the truth of that, well, how much of this am I grabbing hold of so I don't have to deal with what I have to deal with? And that's the real deal right there. What rabbit hole do I decide I want to go down because I don't want to deal with the idea that, well, I'm out of shape, or that I'm a bad parent, or that I haven't taken care of, or I screw up the bills, or I'm not working up to my potential, or I'm not saving any money, or I'm not just living paycheck to paycheck, or I'm not moving forward in the world. I would submit to you is because you're not using those tools. You may have satisfied yourself on dealing with the rabbit holes that provide an escape, feel good about things, enjoy, feed off of the energy that comes with being angry, and never have grown a bit. You only have 40-year-old, 50-year-old adolescents and power drinkers. Junkies that never come out of it. There's a real prospect, an opportunity here if we look through this lore and try to find, what's the tool here? Or what good is knowing that? Okay, maybe I need to ask somebody. Chances are you're going to be very disappointed when you ask people that you think should understand that but don't. Right? Golveg is not Freya, and Tyr is not a god of justice. Right there, if we start with those two, you hear any of those two, you already know you're talking to somebody that doesn't have any clear understanding of what's going on with our lore. What chance do they have to provide you guidance? Well, if you have a discussion with them and stop having a preconceived notion, they might say one thing that literally blows your lips off. And that one thing may be the only reason you needed to have that conversation. Out of the mouth of babes, right? So pay attention to the lessons that people try to teach you and ask yourself, what tool can I use? What tool is there involved in this learning and this knowing of this esoteric ideal that I can hand to my child when things are tough for her or him, or they're dealing with any of the things and situations in life that we have all been through, that have all kicked our ass, to help our children get along a little bit better in the world than we did. That's the gist of it all right there.